time to review for your government final exam. You should listen to each of the unit presentations on these podcasts. They are each broken down in 2 units that we've taught through the year. As you do listen to each podcast, you should be completing the study guide that was handed out to you in class before we all left for the DC field trip. Once you've completed the study guide, and do that as soon as you can in your preparation, it's then up to you to review each of these major areas to prepare you for the test, which will be on Thursday, February 28th. The test will be in the same format as all previous tests, only there will be 49 multiple choice questions and no essays. So let's get started, going way back to September and Unit 1. Unit 1 was an introduction to American institution. First key ideas. Number 1, what values and morals do we hold as a society in our Republican form of government? Start with a brief definition of values. Values are beliefs about what is good and right that we use to guide our lives each day. Some example of those might be honesty, respect, patriotism. Okay? Number 2, what are institutions and how do they provide structure for American citizens' lives? Our American institutions are organizations of people with the same values and morals that help regulate and guide one's daily activities. Examples of these that we talked about would have been family, education, religion, government, and then our economic units. Number 3, list and describe 3 ways a person can become a U.S. citizen. First is through blood. You're born to a current citizen. Second would be birth. If you're born in this country or a U.S. territory, you automatically become a citizen. The third way we talked about was naturalization. And naturalization is a 6-step process that a person must successfully complete before they will be granted citizenship. All right? The chart down below talks about number 4, that what are the rights and duties and responsibilities of American citizens. Definition of rights are privileges you are granted when you become a citizen. Examples of rights might be free speech, free press, free religion, and we recently studied in Unit 6 that Bill of Rights in quite a bit of depth. Duties are things you must do or you pay some consequences for not doing them. Examples of this would be any laws created by our local, state, or national government. You can look at speeding laws. You have to pay your taxes on a national level. It can be as slight as getting a dog license for your pet as a local duty. Responsibilities, these are things that one should do, but there's no immediate consequence if you don't. The term we use to understand that would be as a volunteer. And in school, you can volunteer as an office monitor. You can volunteer as a tutor during your study hall. Outside of school, you could volunteer to shovel an elderly neighbor's walk or rake their leaves in the fall. Number 5, identify which statement matches the function of government. We studied these 5 functions. They are to keep order, provide security, provide services, and to guide the community. When we look at keeping order, we're talking about the job of the government to protect our citizens from one another. Okay? These are carried out on various levels by the police force. The provide services, these are all provided on various levels by government. That could include things like roads, police, fire protection. The fourth one is to guide the community, and there's various branches at each level of government that collect taxes and budget, and they put together the services that they think the community will need. Identifying those examples down below, LA Police Force vows to increase patrols after a baseball fan is beaten. That happened a couple years ago out in LA. That's the job of the police to keep order. President Obama decides to increase the number of troops in Afghanistan to fight the Taliban terrorist groups. That's providing security for this nation. And remember, providing security is to protect the country's borders from foreign attacks or invasion. Number 6, name 3 levels of government found in the United States. A good idea here is to draw the inverted pyramid, and the large area on top represents the bigger national government. Next level below would be state, and then we would count our local government as county, city, village, and town government. Number 7, determine that political ideology, liberal, conservative, reactionary, radical, is represented by the following statements. And remember, each of the definitions, if you have liberal views, the liberal views represent you believe that government should use its resources to provide for the poor and needy. Conservative beliefs would believe in less government and lower taxes. Reactionaries view they want the government to go back to the ways of the past and will use any means to get that change. They want little government. Radical, this would call for a whole new form of government, and they'll use any means they can to get that new form of government. Oftentimes radicals don't want any government at all. Next statement is examples. Government should not use tax revenue for indiscriminate handouts. That would be a conservative viewpoint. The second statement, the government should help those who are poor according to our definition. Obviously, that would be a liberal viewpoint. Number 8, if you turn the page, which type of government? Absolute monarchy, representative democracy, communism, democratic socialism, fascist dictatorship is best represented by the following quotes. I govern because the people of Wisconsin voted for me. Along with the other senator from the state, we make the decisions we believe are best for the state and the country. Obviously, that would be a representative democracy because they're voting for representatives. Second statement, I govern for the people. The people voted for me, and I ensure that everybody is equal. My government is characterized by high taxes, from each according to their ability and to each according to their need. This would be considered democratic socialism. They do have elections for representatives, but the major difference here is that the government provides the necessities for those that are in need, and this is extremely expensive, so taxes in this form of government would be extremely high. Okay, that wraps up the key concepts for Unit 1. Now we're going to look at the key ideas for Unit 2, and we were talking about the foundations of American government. Looking at key idea number 1, what was John Locke's contribution to our adopted philosophy of representative government? John Locke believed that everyone is born with certain natural rights and that it is up to the government to protect those rights. Number 2, discuss the ideals that were included in the U.S. Declaration of Independence, specifically in terms of how Americans viewed government, liberty, and natural rights. This idea was worded as, governments are established to protect and preserve the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and that everyone is entitled to these rights which the government can never take away. The government should be established and run according to the consent of the people, which is through, in a republican form, like we have in the United States, is carried out through the power of voting. Number 4, list and explain 3 of the major weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation and discuss the problems it created for the American Union. Remember, the Articles of Confederation were the first attempt at government by the Americans after the Revolution had driven the British from American soil. It was a form of government that gave most of the governing power to the states, but it was soon realized that this government, as a national government, had some serious issues and really did little to unite the 13 states. If you take a look at the 3 visuals under number 4, the first one on the far left with Uncle Sam tapping the gentleman holding his money represent the weakness that the Articles gave little or no power for the national government to force the state to pay taxes. If you don't have a source of revenue or money coming in, you can't have a national government. Second visual with the George Washington represents that they created no chief executive. And if you don't have anybody to run or enforce those laws, again, you're not going to have united states. They were afraid of giving one person that executive power because they were afraid of what the king had done under English rule. And the third picture, once again, is they gave the government no power to draft an army to defend the country. And the drafters of the Articles of Confederation were afraid if they gave that government the power to form an army, they would use it against the people. And they weren't so much concerned about defending the country. They were more concerned about preventing tyranny by this new formed government. All right, that wraps up the first 2 units, and the next section will be Unit 3, and we'll get to that in just a second here.